Hello, this is Mrs. Mooney, and this video is about graphing parabolas. Okay, I need you guys to draw this parabola. Make sure you give it the x and the y axis. You draw the parabola, and then you draw this extra little point inside of it and this dashed little line below it, just like I have. And now we're going to label these parts. This part you already know. It's called the vertex, and it's located at H and K. This little point up in the middle of your parabola is called the focus. And this dashed line down here is called the directrix. Now the distance that goes from the vertex to the focus, we're going to use a P for that distance. And the directrix is the exact same distance in the opposite direction. So I'm going to put a negative P on that distance just to show that the P is going up and the negative P is going down. But they are the same amount, the same distance. And we have another part, and that is this line that if we draw a line through the focus and across the parabola, it's called the latus rectum. And its length is 4p. So go ahead and get your giggling out of the way. All right. So you can see that p is your distance from your vertex to your focus, and the length of that line from this point to this point, let me get the highlighter, maybe, here to here, from this point to this point, is 4 times p. So here you have the standard equation for a parabola, and that would be x minus h all squared equals 4p, and then y minus k in parentheses. So this is another new way of writing quadratic equations, where h and k is your vertex, and then the 4p is the length of that latus rectum. Okay, now here's something new. Here's the sideways parabola. So now we're going to actually learn how to graph parabolas that open left or right. So sketch this one out, and let's label its parts. Just like this. And if you notice, it's exactly the same, except now our vertex and our focus and our directrix are horizontal from each other, but the distance is still p, and the latus rectum is still 4p. So the equation for a horizontal parabola like this is y minus k all squared equals 4p, and then x minus h. So you notice in each of these equations, the squared part is by itself, right? And then the 4p goes with the not squared part. H always goes with x, and k always goes with y. All right, so make sure you have all this written in your notes. This is very important for you to refer to when you're trying to draw pictures of parabolas. Okay, we're going to do 3 examples. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to graph y equals 1/12 x squared. All right, so the first thing when we're trying to graph these with the focus and the directrix and all the parts is we want to put it in the standard form, in the correct form, which if you remember was x minus h all squared equals 4p y minus k. So in order to get the x squared part by itself, that 1/12 is in my way. I need to multiply the other side by 12. So when I do that, I'm going to end up with x squared and then equals 12y. All right, so when I do that, I don't have an h and a k in this problem. That means my h and k are 0 and 0. And that means my vertex is 0, 0. So I'm going to put that on the graph right there. There's my vertex at 0, 0. All right, then the 12, this number right here, that is the 4p. So if 4p equals 12, 4p equals 12, then p has to be 12 divided by 4 is 3. P is 3. All right, so we know x is squared. That means it's a regular vertical up or down parabola. And that means our p is 3 units. So from the vertex, I'm going to count up 3 units and put a focus. All right, so there's I'm going to put a little v for vertex and a little f for focus. And then the directrix has to go the same distance, so 3 down from the vertex. So I'm going to dash that in. we can label it with a little d if we want to. The stylus is difficult, I apologize. All right, so let's write down focus, and the ordered pair at that focus is 0, 3. And then the directrix is going to be a line, and it's horizontal, so it's a y equals, and it's at -3. So when you're asked to label these parts, make sure that you're writing them ordered pairs in parentheses for the vertex and the focus, and then a line, y equals or x equals, for your directrix. All right, then we need to draw the parabola. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the lattice rectum. And the lattice rectum is going to be 4p units long, which was 12. Okay, so we know that lattice rectum has to go through our focus. So at the focus, I'm going to draw a line that's 12 units long. I'm going to make it symmetric, so I'm going to go 6 on the right and 6 on the left. And I'm going to draw points at the ends there. Let's see, I drew that a little bit too big. Right there, 6 and 6 makes 12. And then I'm not going to ask you to plot any other points on the parabola. All I'm going to ask you to do is go through the vertex and the 2 points on the end of the lattice rectum. Make sure it opens up around the focus, and you're done. You've graphed your parabola. All right, are you ready for the next example? Now we're going to graph x minus 2 equals 1/4, and then y plus 3 all squared. And I keep doing this to you guys. I keep not having the squared part by itself, just to make sure you realize that sometimes it will be already given to you in standard form and sometimes it won't. So let's make sure we rewrite this in the proper format. And the right way to do that would be to put the y plus 3 squared by itself first and then multiply the other side by 4. So we have y plus 3 all squared equals 4 times x minus 2. Now we can figure out what all of our parts are, because the first thing we're going to realize is where's the vertex. And remember, h is always with x, so h is 2. K is always with y, so k is -3. That makes our vertex at 2, -3. And let's go ahead and plot that on a graph. And I don't like how tiny these little grid lines are, so I doubled mine. And we're going to plot our vertex at 2 and -3 right there. The next thing I'm going to look at is this a horizontal or a vertical graph? And this time, since y is squared, I know it's a horizontal graph. It's going to open left or right. And because p is a positive 4, right here, here's our p value, 4p equals 4. That makes p 1, and it's a positive 1, so positive number means it's going to open to the right. The focus is going to go 1 unit to the right because p is 1, so remember I'm counting double on mine, so 1 unit to the right is 2 grid lines on mine. So there's my focus, and the directrix will be the opposite direction, so 1 unit to the left. Please forgive my horrible stylus writing. All right, so there's the focus, there's the directrix. The focus is at 3, -3, and the directrix is a vertical line through x equals 1. All right, the last thing we need to do is find the lattice rectum, which we know is 4p, so 4 units. So I'm going to draw a line that's 4 units long through the focus. 4 units long, so 2 up and 2 down. We'll make a total of 4. So there's the 2 points on the ends of my parabola. And then all I have to do is connect the dots. And I have all the parts labeled and drawn. All right, here's our final example for graphing. We're going to graph y minus 4 equals -1/8, and then x minus 1 all squared. So again, first thing, we want to make sure that we put it in the right form, meaning we want to get the squared part by itself. So I'm going to multiply the opposite side by -8, And then rearrange it, so I've got x minus 1 all squared equals negative 8 times y minus 4. Alright, so we know that this is an x squared parabola. An x squared parabola is open up or down, so it's a vertical. The 4p here is negative 8. So that means that p is going to be negative 8 divided by 4, which is negative 2. And a negative p on a vertical parabola will be opening downward. The vertex h is 1 and k is 4. So our vertex is at 1, 4. 1, 4 right here. And then since p is negative 2, we go down 2. Put our focus right there. So there's the vertex, the focus, and then go up 2 and put our directrix right here. So we'll write them down. The focus is at 1, 2, and the directrix is y equals 6. Then we will put our latus rectum, which is 8 units long. So through the focus, I'm going to go 4 to the right and 4 to the left. And then I will connect the dots and draw in my parabola. And that one is finished. Alright, so I think you guys understand now how to graph parabolas with vertices and focus and directrix. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. See you later.